A completely normal, no drama win. That's not something anyone has become familiar with for the Pacers. Tony East here covering the team for Locked On Pacers and Forbes in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, just off the floor, where the Pacers just cleaned up the Timberwolves. 119-103 win. The Pacers' fifth in a row and their seventh out of 8, playing quite well since a heartless loss in Chicago to the Bulls on March 10th. And this one, their only non-close or ugly win since, right? Their win since: a miracle shot against Milwaukee, a miracle shot against Minnesota, crazy finishes against Dallas and Brooklyn twice, and a 16-point comeback against Philly today. Never trailed ahead the entire game, rolling, playing comfortably from ahead. Their tempo was a problem for the Wolves, and Edwards, a little banged up with his thumb thing, couldn't quite get the shot going the way that he typically does, and that made things plausible for the Pacers to, for once, have a normal, comfortable game. Very rare for them of late, but they got it done. And then the standings chase that they're in, that's a big one. I thought there were a couple stories that stood out to me from this one, but the leader is Tyrese Haliburton, who's just wrecking right now. 24 points and 11 assists in his second game back from injury for the Pacers, and this double-double streak he's on has been magnificent. He's been passing extremely well, and his teammates are making the shots, which helps, and part of that's that he's had the full healthy roster of his teammates. Part of that's that his passing has been crisp, but he's had a double-double every game since he had 22 and 9 assists. Don't know what he was thinking with only 9 there in that first game out of the break. Every other game he's played since the All-Star break, he's had a double-double, and he's had at least 14 points in all of those. Entering today, since the All-Star break, his per-game numbers were 21.4 points and 11.9 assists. He exceeded that point total with 24 today and was right at the assists with 11. So he's been on his A game, and the assist-to-turnover ratio part of this has been major as well. Only twice with more than one turnover in all those games since the break. 2 in their win over Houston and 2 in their win over the Nets just 2 nights ago. 1 today, and you can tell how much it bothers him, right? He tries to throw it over to Andrew Nembhard on the left wing, and they both knew what to do. They both had the same read, but Nembhard just kind of faded a little bit more than Haliburton was expecting. It wasn't really either of their faults, but it's credited as a Haliburton turnover, and he immediately just, the agony in his hands and his face, it's just so rare that a player can have that kind of volume and those kind of numbers, and that's what Tyrese Haliburton's been doing. The Pacers have been great with him on the floor since the break, and they continued to do so today, dominating the Wolves in his minutes, plus 13 with Haliburton on there. He was tremendous, and he didn't even have to play 30 minutes to get it done. They've been watching those numbers with his back injury. He had a stinger, it looked like, on his back in the second quarter. He reached for it for a second, but stayed in the game. He was great inside the arc, 6 for 9 on his twos. Just a really great all-around performance, and I thought shined through as the best of any Pacers, specifically in the third quarter. You know when he gets hot, he's taking the heat check 3. He did it in this one, wiggled around guys, had some real speed. He was running so fast with the ball at one point, Jaden McDaniels chasing him, just fell down, right? Like that kind of speed is usually indicative of good Tyrese Haliburton, and the Pacers got it in this game. The second story of this game, the same guy who was just awesome against the Wolves a week ago, Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, the game winner in overtime against the Wolves a week ago, and he had 34, a career high in that one. Today, Obi Toppin with 20 points, second most on the Pacers, 6 for 9 from deep. He went 1 for 1, made his only 2-pointer, but something about playing the Wolves just lets Obi get going from deep. He's hit 13 threes against Minnesota in a week. He's just been hot against them, right? And some of that is him. I think this matchup does suit him a little bit well. The bench for Minnesota is DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Clark, right? Good players to be sure, but none of them are. The only one as tall as Toppin is Naz Reid. He's always guarding a center, whether it's Turner, whether it's Thomas Bryant, or at times Siakam for the Pacers in this game. And that means someone smaller is on Toppin. Maybe it's McDaniels, maybe it's Julius Randle, maybe it's someone else, but those guys don't want to match his speed element. And the way that they've been trying to defend the Pacers guards, at times mixing in traps, the way that Toppin can up the tempo in a game like this where the Wolves' transition defense was just terrible in this game. They had trouble matching up. They didn't really want to run, it felt like. Fast break points, 15 for the Pacers in this one, and they had 15 points off turnover. So when they caused a stir in the open floor, they did a good job punishing and making that a play. It suits Obi Toppin well. And Rick Carlisle talked post-game about just the slight tweaks in the rotation that have allowed Toppin to play with a little more rhythm, and it certainly paid off last week. It paid off again today as he has 20 points and makes 6 threes. Just a really good night for him. Toppin quick to credit his teammates for it. Their offensive system does suit him very well. I've said this many times since they re-signed him. that he fits better with the Pacers than he would on any other team, right? Their up-tempo, random style that gets him threes, that allows him to dunk as often as he can, is basically as good as it gets for a player of his archetype. And in this game, he showed all that, was very good for the Pacers, and kept their bench kind of afloat. I thought TJ McConnell played pretty well. He had 0 turnovers and on his 10.5 rebound, 4 assist night, making half of his shots, right? One of his better games in a minute. Toppin made his shots, but the rest of the bench, pedestrian night. Thomas Bryant was inefficient. Ben Shepherd wasn't shooting. They needed. Ben Mathurin was 3 for 8. That's fine, right? He just didn't make some threes. But to get that kind of juice from their bench really helped. And their bench defended better than it has of late. Still not quite good, I would say, especially early in the fourth quarter was the only time the Pacers really looked like they made a lull in this game. But when it mattered, the bench was quite good, and Toppin, the face of it certainly in this game. For a bench group that's been the topic of conversation for the Pacers of late, a huge performance. Those two stole the show offensively with their stats. Andrew Nembhard, to me, was the standout defender in a pretty good defensive game for the Pacers, and a really weird profile of defense, right? Nembhard leading the Pacers in minutes, the only guy over 31. He only had 6 points, 5 assists. No one's going to look at this game and go, wow, Andrew Nembhard was dominant. But he was great. He did, albeit Anthony Edwards wearing a brace on his hand, a little banged up, right? But Ant can score from everywhere. He was still 6 for 8 on twos in this game, and they did a good job preventing him from getting rolling. 1 for 11 on threes, only 3 free throw attempts, 4 assists, 3 turnovers for Ant Edwards. He was minus 24 in this game, 17 points on 19 shots with that assist-to-turnover ratio. With how much he has the ball, I mean, he's a good player, but that's not that beneficial to the rest of the team that the Wolves have. Julius Randle never quite got going either, but to slow Ant to that extent was massive for the Pacers, and Andrew Nembhard did a wonderful job. Both Obi Toppin and Tyrese Halliburton, sometimes after a question specifically about Nembhard, sometimes unprompted, brought up how good they thought Nembhard defended in this game, the level he can reach on that end of the floor, and he certainly reached it in this game. Contained Ant, made it hard for him to get rolling, and so the Wolves were kind of limited offensively. Naz Reid was pretty good. He had 20. Rudy Gobert had some nice offensive putback buckets on his way to 16, but Julius Randle under 10 points. Nobody was really hitting threes for the Wolves. Comfortable defensive game for the Pacers. They got it from everybody, and they had some standout performers on each end to get it done. They're playing well results-wise right now. This game was actually a good game, which I thought was an important distinction for the Pacers, who have been playing okay and finding ways to win of late. This time they didn't need to step up late or have anything crazy happen. They just played their game and played it well the whole time, never trailing to get it done. They'll see what happens with the Bucks today. They'll see if the Bulls lose today. The Pacers will secure top 8 for the rest of the season. Aaron Nesmith, underrated, good contributor in this one. He's also played very well since the All-Star break. 17.7 rebounds and a crucial, the dagger put back at the buzzer of the shot clock in the fourth quarter. Pacers get done. They sweep the Wolves. They've got the Lakers and LeBron in this building in just 2 days. I'll be there as well. And you can hear more from me on Locked On Pacers. Stories coming in Forbes. Thank you guys for watching this one. See you in the next one.